I think I should make it clear at this point. I hate summertime. Kids are out of school and they're roaming all over the place. It's sweaty, it's nasty. The movies are the only good thing, and bugs come out. Most notably ants here in the high desert, where left and right, everywhere I go in the house, they are there, and I can't leave any kind of food, not even a wrapper for some piece of food, out in the open without them getting infested by ants. However, the only ants that I'm welcoming to see coming out in the summer is, of course, any that follow the heroic Ant-Man from Marvel Studios. This time, however, he's partnered up with the Wasp, who was teased at the end of the last movie, so it was only sensible to include her in the sequel, and it's cool that they kept that along with the title, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they really are giving the movie the direction that it needs, where it's like, okay, not only is this a partnership heist movie between Ant-Man and the Wasp, but this is the much needed form of levity after the gut punch or the ballsack punch that was Avengers Infinity War. So you gotta give credits to Marvel for planning their movies accordingly, and this is the right thing that we need right now after Infinity War, where everybody was wondering watching that movie. By the way, spoilers, slightly mild spoilers for Infinity War, but Ant-Man was actually nowhere to be found, or maybe he was, maybe we just didn't see him. He was nowhere to be found in that movie. So what exactly was he doing this whole time? Well, after the events of Captain America's Civil War, he is then kind of put into a set of circumstances that has him working again with Hope, aka the Wasp, who becomes the Wasp in this movie, along with Hank Pym, using the technology that they have at their disposal, not only to follow a lead that could possibly bring the original Wasp back, but also to get rid of some enemies along the way, most notably Ghost, who's able to kind of transport through walls. And it's funny because this is kind of a heist movie, while at the same time also being a cat and mouse movie, and that's kind of what the biggest strength about this pocket of the universe that Ant-Man always kind of tackles, which is meant to be on a smaller scale, of course, literally because of the shrinking and the sizing issue that they kind of tackle, and how they use that to their advantage to create some good comedy and also some cool little gags with little things that you expect a certain size to then grow into a big size, and that's always been the huge appeal, no pun intended there, about the Ant-Man universe, as I like to call it, because they explore some things that we haven't exactly explored in the other movies, most notably quantum physics, quantum mechanics, what it's like to become so small that you're just in another dimension. That's something that, believe it or not, back in the day I used to think about, and I don't want to say I would think about it constantly, but I would just think about it in a sense where I'm like, how about if you just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and just never stopped? Or what if you got really big, really, really big, really big? Is that where you reach the pinnacle of infinity? And it's cool that Ant-Man always kind of does that. They touched upon it a little bit in the first movie, and they kind of continue that theme along here in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that's cool. And what's also cool is that it feels a little tighter. I don't know what it was, but there was something about, whether it be the cinematography or the editing, or most notably the humor. I think this was actually a funnier movie. I was actually enjoying myself a little bit more, and even laughing out loud a little bit more throughout this movie than I was in the first one. And I don't know if it was because Paul Rudd actually had a hand in the script, or maybe they had some more comedy writers, or maybe some more talent, whether it be returning talent from the first one, like Michael Pena, as well as his friends or cohorts from the first one that are even better here. I actually enjoyed T.I. and also that guy from The Dark Knight. I can never remember his name, but I really enjoyed them in this movie. But you always need the hero to kind of carry along this comedy as well as this action. Paul Rudd, once again, I think he really is definitively Ant-Man. There's not going to be a good way to see anybody else in this role except Paul Rudd, so that's awesome. But who really holds her own in a very fitting way is, of course, Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp. She's awesome as well. She kicks ass. She's able to utilize her suit very well, but she's also a really good other side, or I don't know, like a straight woman to the antic-full Ant-Man. So Ant-Man would be the one to kind of get himself in trouble, trying to do the right thing. Hope is able to be a little bit more direct and a little drier with her humor, but is actually able to get shit done. So that's what makes their partnership really work well, especially even if it's not on the best footing, which is kind of where this movie kicks off. So it's cool to see that character building, and as well as the chemistry between the two. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's not exactly the most the most emotionally invested thing, and I knew that from the get-go. I knew that the stakes weren't exactly going to be as high as they were from Infinity War. You just enjoy watching all of them, including Hank Pym, once again played by Michael Douglas, kind of reacting to each other, but at the same time working together to get, to beat the bad guys, and at the same time take care of this one kind of mission that ultimately gets even fun and even more fun down the road when you throw in some cool little set pieces that involve some of those side gags. Even though I do wish that the fight choreography, in fact I even remember mentioning this at least at one point in the original Ant-Man, where even though it's cool to see them shrink up and down, and just see things kind of be size proportionate in a very different way than you're used to, and that's where the fun relies, I really did wish ever so often that at least the fight choreography will be a little tighter, because here it's just very traditional with their usual punches and kicks, so don't expect any kind of John Wick level type of fighting. And it's also a little bit of a disappointment to see that after the fantastic turnouts earlier this year with Killmonger in Black Panther, and then most notably Thanos kicking ass as a villain in Infinity War, we revert back to the old ways of Marvel with the weak villains here in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where not only do we have Walter Goggins, who plays a sleazy, shady business dude who deals in the black market, and of course he wants his hands on this awesome cool tech, so he wants to sell it, and he plays that archetypal dude. Granted, it looks like he's having a little bit more fun here than he did in Jesus Christ, Tomb Raider. He was sleepwalking the entire time there. Here it looks like, he was fun. He looked like he was having fun knowing that he was in a Marvel movie. But that doesn't exactly do his character any favors. And then furthermore, we had Ghost, played by, I think her name is Hannah John Kamen. I'm assuming she's some kind of supermodel because she just had that look. And I remember seeing her in the trailers, and the entire time thinking to myself, something tells me I'm not gonna like this girl. I don't know. It'll be a humongous surprise if I do, but I'm just getting this dreadful feeling. Unfortunately, that feeling turned into a very strong intuition because, well, let me put it this way. She was reminding me an awful lot of a Gotham villain from the show Gotham, and that's not something you want to be in my repertoire. No. So every time she was on screen, she had her motives that could have made for a good basis for a villain that you could have sympathized for. But just the way she played it, and the way that she looked, and the way she would deliver her motives and her lines, and the way she just came across, I just thought that maybe the casting just wasn't really there, because I just did not like her. And I don't mean that in the complimentary villainous sort of way. I just mean more in the okay, one of you two gotta go, and it's a little sad that I prefer for her to go, the one with the powers, the one with what seemingly the cool powers and the Destiny looking suit, and not Walter Goggins, shady business dude who can kind of go around and kind of have an antithesis to go on this cat and mouse chase towards the end that was really, really fun. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were wasted, but there were a couple of other characters, some of which are in the promotional material and some of which I don't think should have been in the promotional material because of just how they were kind of included here, that were a little short-handed. I kind of wish that we would have seen a little bit more of them, but there were also some other cool little surprises with the casting. There's a couple of returning people from the first one, some of which where I'm like, well, okay, that was a really easy paycheck. They were just there on set for one scene, and I'm like, it sucks because they're a great actor, and I wish they would have been in the movie more. But at least I'm glad to see that they really utilized one particular character who's not in the marketing at all. The casting of this person was mentioned a couple months back, but I'm not going to mention any more than that than to say that you should not sleep on this person. As a comedy force, he actually has a show on ABC right now that I'm actually rather keen on watching. It's on my list, but I just haven't gotten to it. And he was in a couple of other comedies, and he kills me every time, and he kills it once again here, especially where he has this moments of ad-lib, either with Paul Rudd or some other person. And I'm like, yeah, I usually don't approve of ad-libbing, but I think he did a pretty good job. And director Peyton Reed was able to not only take the tone and the right direction that Ant-Man was after Age of Ultron, and just deliver that once more again here with Ant-Man and the Wasp after Infinity War. It was just like the perfect. You just gotta give respects to know when a director doesn't want to try anything too new, while at the same time just improving on the things that they just needed to work on slightly in the first one. It's just a shame that some of those things weren't exactly tailing around the villains, because at this point I thought that we were kind of on a little bit of a stride here, Marvel, and instead we got again another villain issue. Here was maybe you were dealing with two different villainous sides and you just didn't know which to pick, and maybe you got shorthanded on one of them. But at least I'm glad to see that you utilized something really clever from the first one that you teased, which is the inclusion of Wasp, and used it to the movie's benefit with some cool action, some great chemistry between the characters, and most notably some amazing humor that actually had me laugh out loud even more so than in the first one, and made me have much more of an enjoyable time than I remember doing in the first one. And maybe that's the audience that I was watching it with that was helping me along with it, but at least I can fruitfully say that this is one that I would actually rather watch more so than the first one. And I enjoyed the first one, but to say that there's moments in this movie that were cracking me up to no measure, that's a humongous remark. So I'm going to be giving Ant-Man and the Wasp a high 8 out of 10. It's not necessarily going to maybe be on my top 10 should better things come out, but definitely an honorable mention for knowing its place in the universe, for tackling certain things that the other Marvel movies didn't, and at the same time, just making us feel good and making us happy once more after the gut punch of Infinity War. For however long that may be. Come on. Be happy. So guys, if you have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, please let me know in the comments below what were you guys' favorite moments. What did you guys think of the movie, and what direction are we going into here now that we only have one other standalone film, which is Captain Marvel, between we bring it all to a close with Avengers 4, which is rumored to be called Avengers Endgame, and Ant-Man's potential inclusion in it. About what type of role he's going to be playing. We kind of have a speculation that he's going to be in it, but just to what extent and in what condition. Please keep it spoiler free. This is not exactly a spoiler review, so don't say anything, even though let's just say that this movie references more Civil War, and in a very proper way, because that was Ant-Man's last little collusion with the rest of the Avengers. So it's like, okay, cool. It's cool that they know to pay more attention to the details from Civil War rather than Infinity War. So I thought that was another cool thing about the movie. So I guess we can only mention Civil War related things, but Infinity War wise, keep it clean. Maybe I'll do a separate video for that. But in the meantime, what are your guys' thoughts? Post them in the comments below. Make sure you like and share this video. And of course, do not forget to subscribe for more reviews coming. Until next time, guys, see you all later. I gave my initial review back in 2014. I think you can still check it out on this channel. And feel free to do so after watching this review to see the comparisons, because I can't even fucking remember what I said, except that it kind of somewhat mirrors about what I'm about to mention, except here I'm about to break it down scene by scene. Alright, so we got the studio logos, as every movie tends to have. We got the Columbia logo, check. Marvel logo, check. Oh, this one's a new one. I didn't know that we're doing a Lionsgate movie. Oh, whoa. That's not a logo? Okay, that was fucking weird.